Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon to Madam Fairuz and all my beloved friends. I am Siti Rafi'ah binti Mokhtar. I am the last presenter. So today, next we're gonna continue with the learning objective. So what is the learning objective? A learning objective is a specific statement of teaching aim or plan. For example, it indicates one of the specific area that the teacher intended to cover. Thus, it gives information about what the teaching of the unit hopes to achieve. So in learning objective, it has 4 types, which is the audience, behavior, standards, and condition. So first, audience. Audience is a learning objective should always specify the audience or students they are intended to serve. Behavior. Behavior are observable actions that are supposed to be accomplished by the end of the class sessions, and it should be demonstrated during the class. And standards. Learning objective should identify to what standard a given skill or knowledge must achieve by the student. So it has the standard. Okay, last but not least, a condition. So a condition in an objective specific the condition under which the given task should be performed, which is it has a time limit. So for example of the learning objective, which is after reading the story, an hour for albino, which is a condition, we give the conditions. Student, which is the audience, will analyze the main character, which is the behavior, based on the attached rubric standards. Okay, so now we're gonna move to the learning objective by using SMART, which is SMART, which is specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-bound. So what is SMART? So we start with specific. So specific, it clearly describes the attitude, skills, and knowledge, which is our learning objective must be specific to what we want to achieve. And measurable, the objective can be measured by an assessment strategy such as observations and problem solving exercise, which is something that we can get result to be measured at the end of the class sessions. And next is action oriented. So objective have action verb that demonstrate skill such as explain, describe, and so on. So next, realistic. So realistic is a reasonable expectations in terms of the attitudes, knowledge, and skill in time given. So the learning objective should be realistic. If not, how does we can get the learning objective right? And the last but not least, which is the time bound. So time bound have a time limit and time frame must be specific. So if you have a learning objective for 1 year, syllabus, then you have to get done by 1 year. You cannot done it by 2 years. So that's why we need a time limit. And so here are the examples of a good SMART learning objective. So after the end of this topic, we have a time bound. Student will be described, that is action oriented. 3 factors, that is specific, measurable, and reasonable. Let's go inside it. That increase the risk of HIV transmission in women. Now we're gonna go with the learning objective. Learning outcome. So what is the learning outcome? So learning outcome is a statement of what a learner should know, understand, and be able to demonstrate after completion of a process learning. It's about what the learner is able to demonstrate after the course of instruction classroom transactions. So the example of is a learning outcome, not a learning objective. So by the end of this module, students should be able to explain the role of the learning outcome in online courses design. Something like that. It's become more specific. So this is a learning outcome versus learning objective. Learning objective versus learning outcome. So learning objective, that is what teacher expects student to know and be able to do as a whole at the end of the sessions. Meanwhile, it's not behavioral in nature, which is the verb used is known, understands. So one subject objective may generate several learning outcomes. So how general it is, right? So objectives are intended result of consequences of instruction, curricula, programs, and activities. Meanwhile, the learning outcomes is what the students are able to do in a specific way at the end of the session. So its stated in term, identify, discuss, evaluate, is more specific. Several learning outcomes are derived from one subject objective, which is from one the biggest general subject objective can be specified into more learning outcomes. So outcomes are achieved result or consequences of what learners evidence that some learning took place. So here does the learning objective and learning outcome in selected topic form 4. So this is what we discover for chapter 8.1, which is a type of respiratory system. So the learning outcome is student should be able to, remember student is our audience, student should be able to, will be able to identify respiratory structure in insect, fish, amphibian, and human. Describe the adaptations of respiratory structure and the function of gases exchange in animal and human. Compare and contrast respiratory structure in human and animal. So you see the keywords first. And for the learning objective, so understand and able to explain the respiratory system in human and animal. Understand, explain. So analyze knowledge about the respiratory system in human and animal in the context of problem solving of event of natural phenomena. And evaluate knowledge respiratory system in human and animal in the context of problem solving and decision making when conducting a task. As you can see between here, learning outcomes is quite more specific to the topic. Meanwhile, the learning objective is quite general to the both respiratory system in human and animal topic syllabus, right? Now, what about learning outcomes stated in the textbook? So, after being analyzed from the textbook and the science curriculum standard, the SKP, so learning objectives are good and clear at this follow the SMART step, which is what we have that specific, measurable, action-oriented R&T step. So meanwhile, the teacher can also change or upgrade some of the LOs, which is the learning objective or learning outcomes, to make it more specific. So I give here the simple example is, at the end of the lesson, students are able to state 3 characteristics of human respiratory system and 2 characteristics of animal respiratory system. You see that we have the two things that we can combine together, right? So the misconception is defined as an idea that is wrong because it's based on a failure to understand certain situations. So in the simplest way, I'll give you the simplest meaning of misconception is an idea that is not correct. Simple, right? So there are 5 types of misconception, which is first, preconceived notions. So preconceived notion is the idea or concept from before having the evidence for the truth, which is, so secondly is non-scientific belief. Include viewers learned by students from source other than scientific education, such as religious belief. So it seems like how religious teach us how human grows, but at the same point it's quite not applicable for the science, for the scientific evidence for the human growth, right? So but the third one is conceptual misunderstanding. So conceptual misunderstanding is arise when students are taught scientific information in a way that does not provoke them to confront paradox. The fourth one is vernacular misconception. It arises from the use of words that mean one thing in everyday life. So it's just like work, it's something you can do with work. And the last but not least is the five types, which is factual misconception. That is, facilities often learned at an early age and retain unchallenged into adulthood. Okay, now we're gonna go with the misconceptions across the topic. So what do we have here? So these are misconceptions across the topic that I cover from the Form 4 biology. So the topic cover is 3.0, which is the movement of substances across the plasma membrane, cell division, respiratory systems, and nutrition and human digestive system. So we're gonna start with 3.0, movement of substances across the plasma membrane. So in the part of diffusion and osmotic, so students are confused about the random movement of molecules that lead up to diffusion and osmosis across the biological membrane. But actually, the osmotic equilibrium cannot be reached unless solute concentration equalize across the membrane. Next, water molecule is movement at osmotic equilibrium. Thus, diffusion and osmosis will not occur across the non-living membranes. The next part we're gonna go with cell division. So cell division is about mitosis and meiosis. So actually students understand that prophase of both mitosis and meiosis are separated chromosome, but the fact is the chromosome number is double in the prophase of mitosis and half in the anaphase of meiosis. So in anaphase, the spindle separates the two sister chromatids, which is not a chromosome, so of each chromosome and move to the opposite spindle pole. Next, we're gonna go with 9.0 nutrition in human and digestive system. So here are the best part, which is number 1, digestion starts in the stomach. Students always misconcept that. So actually, digestion starts in the mouth, where the salivary amylase, a digestive enzyme, act on the starch in the food. And secondly, digestion and in the stomach or large intestines. But actually, digestions and in the small intestines, where carbohydrate, protein, and fats are digested. So protein are digested in the stomach. Water and mineral are absorbed into the bloodstream into the large intestines. And the third one, students think that you cannot swallow food when you're upside down. Come on, guys. No, actually the fact is, regardless of your posture, food will travel in direction due to the peristalsis, which is a muscle contraction that we have the picture there, and the gravitational force. So it doesn't matter if you eat upside down, as long as your food is not going to go down, right? Now we're gonna go to the last part, which is the respiratory system in human and animal. So this is a selected misconceptions. So the most common misconception is that students sometimes use the word respiration to refer to the process of cellular respiration. But actually, guys, so the physiological respiration and cellular respiration are not same. So the two are related process, but cellular process in which carbohydrates are converted into energy, guys, energy. So next, gonna move to the respiratory system. So students think that respiratory system is the only system that transports oxygen throughout the body. Actually, the respiratory system does not work alone. It works directly with the circulatory system to provide oxygen throughout the body. So the oxygen then moves into the body vessel that circulate oxygen-rich blood to tissue and cells. It is true. However, oxygen is just one of the cells that found in the air that we breathe. So in fact, the air has more nitrogen than oxygen. So we are not only breathe in one gas. Okay. All right, guys, that's all from me. And please. Come on, okay guys, that's all for me. Please feel free to ask any question in the group discussion, okay? Thank you.